this morning as we got everything set for you here in these Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. You also find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location of North Syracuse, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, in their double-decker cafe, where we were yesterday doing our Dolphin Dive Takeover. You know that every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you see that addition here to the studio, the Go Fins Fin for the Dolphins of Lemoyne. Every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. is Dolphin Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call. And every first and third Wednesday at 9 a.m. during Dolphin Time, we have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta. Every second and fourth Wednesday, we have the Dolphin Dive with student athletes, coaches, administration, alumni, and or future Dolphins. And so yesterday was a Dolphin Dive special, right? The second Wednesday here of February. So we were jumping into the Dolphin Dive, and instead of doing it just at 9 a.m. for a little bit, we did it the entire show. Had a Dolphin Dive takeover with the Lemoyne swimming and diving team. And I want to thank once again Caitlin Longway and Bilal Ali for a fantastic broadcast that spanned so many subjects, so many beautiful things. Folks, it's one of the most eclectic and special broadcasts I've done in a very long time. I really think you should go back and listen to it. It's about helping others, paying it forward, giving back. It's about swimming. It's about likes and things that you go after. It's about board games. It's about connection and family and history and stories and laughter and so many different pieces. I mean, it's such a great way to get to know two awesome people in our community, and Caitlin and Bilal. And so I definitely hope that you check it out on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And while you're there, click subscribe. You're here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on YouTube. You are all over the world with us, youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /wakeupcalldt. You're also with us on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and you're with us on facebook.com /livenowdt. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you for hanging out with us, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we are so happy to have spent yesterday at Cafe Kubal and being there in the double-decker cafe. We loved it upstairs. I love that, the digs where we get to go upstairs and broadcast from upstairs while people, eat and drink upstairs and downstairs. So really an awesome, nice little studio area feel to it. And we've been able to do so many shows there. Ryan Kabilis was there with me recently. Obviously, Rob Drummond's there with me all the time. And so we had a really, really good time sharing stories and just sitting back and relaxing with two really incredible young people in our society that are doing great things. So I want to shout them out and send them love and appreciate them so much. Today starts the NE10 Championships for swimming and diving, so I am sending all my best to everybody out there competing and sending my extra special love to those Dolphins. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you're having yourselves a great, great time this morning, and I hope you have some awesome moments to share with me as we continue on. And I want to thank head coach of the Lemoyne swimming and diving team, Adam Zakowski, once again for allowing me the opportunity to speak with his student athletes. With that being said, fantastic show set up for you today. So many great things coming up inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So we're going to talk about, you see the NCAA logo, we're going to talk about something that happened with UConn that hasn't happened in 30 years, 3 decades. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the NBA. A lot of things going on in the NBA this week. A lot of shakeup, a lot of historic moves, and obviously, some history for LeBron James. So we'll talk about all of that. And then Papa Joe's going to join us in hour number 2 for this Thursday. Papa Joe is with us typically every single Thursday. And this time around, he'll be with us for hour 2. So PJ going to be joining us in just a little bit from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Papa Joe joining us to talk about the big game in the NFL, the championship game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and more, and we'll get his take. You see that Syracuse logo? We're going to talk about the Syracuse victory last night, and we're also going to have Papa Joe give his take on Jim Boeheim and what he thinks about Jim Boeheim's way about him and today's sports, today's college, and we'll get his take on what he thinks about how Jim Boeheim's way of going about things, does it work, does it not work, and how would he respond to the bedside manner of Jim Boeheim. So we'll talk about a lot of things here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Let's get it started. So the UConn piece of this, right? So UConn looking at their element of, listen, UConn women's basketball under Gina Ariema, they win, they win, they win, they win, they win. Well, they have just lost 2 straight for the first time in 30 years. And I'm not here to be the bearer of bad news. I'm here to talk about a historical moment. Unfortunately, not great history, but a historical moment for UConn, because this doesn't happen, As much as this is like, wow, they lost 2 in a row for the first time in 3 decades, it's, wow, they haven't lost 2 games back-to-back in 30 years. That's insane. So they lost to Marquette 59-52 in Milwaukee on the road, and that was a season low for the Huskies and first time that Marquette has ever defeated UConn. UConn head coach Gina Ariema said, quote, "I told the team this. I'm surprised that it's taken this long for us to have that kind of mental checkout. And it's the first time all year in 20-some games that it's happened. Tonight happened to be that night and against the wrong team." Now, the Huskies were ranked 4 in the country. They lost to number 1 South Carolina 81-77 on Sunday at home in Hartford, Connecticut. So their last back-to-back losses, their last consecutive losses came in 1993 when they lost to Providence in the Big East tournament on March 7th, and then lost to the Louisville Cardinals in the NCAA tournament on March 17th. So that was 2 years after UConn advanced to its first Final Four and 2 years before the Huskies won their first of 11 titles. So NCAA titles. Since then, UConn was 75-0 after losses. 75-0. So after they lost a game, 75-0. And went 1,083 consecutive games without back-to-back losses until yesterday. Think about that for a second. They went 75-0 after losing a game. And the stretch of time without back-to-back losses dates back to 1993. 1993 to 2023. They have not lost back-to-back games in 1,083 consecutive games without back-to-back losses. So think about that. There's been over 1,000 games played since the last time UConn women's basketball lost 2 in a row. 1,083. Nuts. Now, they've had injuries. Paige has been hurt out the entire season with a knee injury. Fudd's had a knee injury. Caroline had a concussion. So, there's obviously been injuries on this team and different things that have gone on. Now listen, they never lost to Marquette before, and they lost that game by 7. And the other loss that they had, like I mentioned before, was to the number 1 team in the country, the South Carolina Gamecocks, and they lost by 4. So, they're not losing this game by a ton, but it's a historical moment where people might get frustrated, right? But at the same time, if you're a UConn fan, if you're a women's basketball fan, if you're a basketball fan, a sports fan in general, see, even if you don't watch women's basketball, which I don't know why you don't, but if you don't, you know UConn. If you know anything about sports, people typically know about Duke in men's basketball, UConn in women's basketball. You know that UConn is something, right? If you know anything about sports, if you're just a basic fan, you know very little information, you know about UConn. And yeah, they've lost 2 in a row. for the first time in 30 years. But they've lost 2 in a row for the first time in 30 years. Over 1,000 games in between. And the last time they lost 2 in a row was 1993. I was not even 8 years old yet. It's crazy. Greg said, can you think of another D1 program or pro sport that has been as dominant for as long as a time as UConn women's basketball? And you said maybe UCLA men's basketball. Well, if we go back and we look by the numbers and we look at UCLA men's basketball history by the years, I mean, if we go back and we think about the domination, I mean, UConn for women's basketball. Duke, as I mentioned, Duke was pretty dominant for a long amount of time, right? But if we go back and we look at UConn and their history, and we just go back here to John Wooden, I mean, this is insane. You look here and you say, okay, in 1963-64 season, won the NCAA tournament championship, then won it again in this following season, 64-65, and then won it, and then didn't have anything in 65-66, and then won the championship in 66-67, 67-68, 68-69, 69-70, 70-71, 71-72. So they won. This is crazy. You look at this and you say, 7 straight national championships UCLA had in men's basketball. 7 straight national championships and 9 in 10 years. What team wins 9 NCAA championship games in the men's March Madness? Like, who wins the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament 9 times in 10 years? 9 times in 10 years. Then made 3rd place after winning 7 in a row. Then won another championship. Then made 3rd place. Then made the regional semi. Then a regional semi. I mean, the history of this is nuts. And then keep in mind, folks, they did win another title in 94-95. They won another national title. And then, I mean, this is just, I mean, the history is, it's crazy. It's crazy. John Wooden. So, yeah, I mean, Greg, you bring up that point. I'd probably have to say, I mean, UCLA. Greg said, I think I think UConn might have with championships. Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're talking strictly basketball, UCLA was what people would today think of as like the New England Patriots with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. You know, it was every single year. It was like the Yankees, right, for a time. That's the UCLA Bruins. Probably the team people loved and loved to hate, you know. My grandma always told me hate's a strong word, so don't use it, but you know what I mean. And I mean, going back and looking at this, if you look at UConn women's I mean, UCLA, that those numbers are staggering numbers. If you look at UConn by the years, UConn women's basketball by the years, I mean, this is a team that, and like I said, anybody, whether you're a fan or not, you know that, I mean, you know UConn. You should know UConn, whether or not you have ever connected really to women's basketball in general. I would imagine that you know UConn. So, I mean, UConn, I think about it like this. Breanna Stewart, who played at CNS here in Central New York, went to UConn for 4 years, won 4 championships. 4 national titles in 4 years. It's like, hello? You know what I mean? I mean, that's insanity. That's insanity. It's crazy. We go back and we look at this. Look at, you know, Gino Auriemma and what he's done. And we look at the championship. So in 1995, Connecticut won. They won in 2000. They won in 2002, 2003, 2004. They won in 2009, 10, 2013, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. I mean, I would say UConn women's, UCLA for men's. The most dominant, of all time. I think a lot of people would say Duke because, people just think about Coach K and they think about the amount of times that he brought his team to the promised land, right? That even if they didn't win, he would still get them to the end or close to the end. I mean, if we go back and we look at Coach K's time and what they did, it's not, I mean, obviously it's not the same as John Wooden, but if we look at it here, they lost the national championship in 85-86, but they made it there. They made it there and lost in 89-90. Then in 90-91, they won it. They won back-to-back 91-92. Then they lost in the championship in 93-94. Then they lost in the championship in 98-99. Then they won the championship in 2000-2001 season. And then they won again in 2009-10. And then they won again in 2014-15. So, I mean, if we're talking about somebody who is getting to the championships, you can mention Coach K, right? He got there. But if we're talking about who's winning the championships, then it's John Wooden. I mean, it's not even close. I think people sometimes are victims to their current environment, right? So it's easy for someone to turn around and say, Coach K, if you've been watching for like the last 20 years and some change, right? You're going to say, oh, Coach K, right? But it's John Wooden. And on the women's side, it's Gino. And Gino's phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I would love to see a John Wooden, Gino Auriemma. It's unique because obviously, you have the women's game, you have the men's game, it's still basketball. But it would be interesting to see. It'd be cool to see, just for giggles, would be to see if John Wooden could coach the UConn women's team to a national championship, and if Gino Auriemma could coach that men's UCLA team back in the day to a national championship. That would be a really cool thing to kind of like have them flip-flop, and see what they could do with each other's teams. But these coaches are incredible, So I don't look at Gino Auriemma's team and go, oh my gosh, they suck. I look at Gino Auriemma's team and go, you haven't lost consecutive games in over 1,000 games in 30 years. What? So that's insane. That's insane. Gino Auriemma at UConn, powerhouse, I think is an understatement. And I feel the same way about John Wooden at UCLA. You say powerhouse, I think there's, you got to create a word, right? For these two gentlemen. So, awesome talk this morning. A lot of stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to jump into our next piece that we have here. And the next piece that we have here is the Syracuse win. Now, fans were frustrated last night. We do a message board on Facebook, and you could join me, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT. We also put the message board on the Syracuse Orange Empire, which is a group that I help to be an administrator to, and shout out to my fellow administrators who are out there. Shout out to all of you, and you're so much appreciated. Joanne, Corey, Joe, thank you. So, and thank you for inviting me and allowing me the opportunity to be with you and become an administrator over the years. I really, I can't take credit for building the thing from the ground up. So thank you for bringing me into Syracuse Orange Empire. So I put up a game thread let people kind of give their opinions. And people weren't feeling good last night when Syracuse was playing up against Florida State. Now, mind you, Florida State's been a good team for a long time. Leonard Hamilton doesn't get the credit he deserves. His team has been doing well. They were recruiting guys who were staying, growing, blossoming, getting better. That's why teams were being good 2-3 years in a row. Now, this year, it's been different. 8-16, they came into the game against Syracuse, and they weren't bad in the ACC, right? They were just one game under 500. They were 6-7, and that was, okay, not bad, but 8-16 overall, losing most of their games in non-conference play. I mean, you think about that, 6-7 in the ACC, 8-16 overall. That means that you were 2-9 against teams that were out of your conference. So definitely better inside of the ACC than they were outside of the ACC, Florida State. And now they're 6-8, 8-17. However, they started off getting up by almost 10 at halftime, doing some good things. Syracuse came back in this game and were able to turn the tides. Here's the thing with Syracuse right now, folks. We're going to talk about the ACC in a second because the ACC is all over the place. But there was huge implications to Syracuse winning or losing last night. If they lost, they could be in the bottom 5. With their victory, despite the fact that North Carolina beat them, North Carolina's played one less game in the ACC so far. So they're 7-6. Syracuse now 8-6. Syracuse jumped Florida State. They stayed above Florida State. BC jumped North Carolina because they have one more win and are tied with Wake Forest at 8-6. Right behind Duke, who's 8-5, and they got Duke coming up on the schedule very, very soon. So you look at where things are right now. Clemson. Y'all might not believe me, but this is the truth. The top 2 teams in the ACC aren't ranked in the nation's top 25. The top 2 teams in the ACC are not ranked nationally in the top 25. Clemson, number 1 at 10-3. Pitt Panthers, right behind 10-3, right there. Virginia is ranked 8th in the country, also 10-3. Miami, 10-4. NC State, 9-5, who just lost to Virginia last night. Duke 8-5, Wake and Syracuse 8-6. So Syracuse right now, mind you, folks, the way the ACC tournament is set up is the top 4 teams get a double bye. They don't play the first round, they don't play the second round, they play in the quarters. So the first 4 teams where you want to be, you automatically advance through the first 2 rounds of the ACC tournament. If you are in the top 8, 5 through 8, you advance through the first round, but not the second round. So it might be 5 through 7. So, because 8 and 9 play each other. So, looking at the ACC tournament, Syracuse is not that far off from sniffing the top 4, right? So, they're 8-6. Miami's 10-4. Miami's in 4th right now. Syracuse has an opportunity to jump Wake, who they play at the end of the season. They have an opportunity to jump Duke, who they're playing this weekend. So Syracuse, at the time we're talking right now, Syracuse Orange men's basketball is 8th in the ACC. They're 8th in the ACC. You want to get out of the 8-9 matchup. You don't want to be in that 8-9 matchup. Now, people say to me, Dan, why don't I want to be in that 8-9 matchup? I'm going to tell you why you don't want to be in that 8-9 matchup. You don't want to be in that 8-9 matchup because taking a look at the situation here, being in that 8-9 matchup is going to put you in a situation where, in my opinion, and in reality, that puts you in a really dicey place, right? If you're in that 8-9 matchup, you're going to put yourself in a situation that you're going to have a tough road to hoe as you move forward. And if we looked at the bracket right now, and we're going to be doing a bracket with Wake Up Call, so if you want to put your bracket in, we do a bracket challenge for the entire NCAA tournament, and we do a bracket for the ACC tournament as well. We might do one for the American this year too. But if you look at this, look at the situation for this. But I can tell you, as far as seeding goes, this is what life would look like. If you're in the 8-9 matchup, you have to play in the second round, and you play the number one seed after that. That is not a situation that you want to be in if you're Syracuse. So yeah, the top four seeds don't have to play in the first two rounds, and then seed 5, 6, and 7 don't play until the second round, and 8 and 9 will play each other in the second round. So pardon me, I misspoke here. So 8, if you are in the top 8, then yeah, obviously you advance through the first round, you play in the second round. But you don't want to be in the 8-9 matchup because of the situation. And I had to look at it again. Should have looked at it before. That's my apologies, my bad. In this, there's 15 teams in the ACC. There was a year, I think, where Louisville took themselves out of tournament play, so it was 14 and it was like even. But now, we're back to that normalcy over the years here. And so the way it works is 12 plays 13, 10 plays 15, and 11 plays 14 in the first round. In the second round, the 6 seed will play the winner of 11-14. The 7 seed will play the winner of 10-15. The 5 seed will play the winner of 12-13. 8 will play 9. And then whoever wins the 8-9 plays the number 1. Whoever wins the seeding line that the 5th seed is on plays number 4. Whoever plays the 7 seed line and wins that one plays the number 2. And whoever plays the 6 seed line and wins that from the 11 versus the 14, whoever wins that playing the 6, they will play the 3. That's how it works out. So Syracuse right now is 8th, which means that if the ACC tournament happened today, Syracuse would have to play North Carolina again, and then they would have to play Clemson. Not ideal. With Syracuse having an opportunity to jump a couple teams right now, let's say for argument's sake, Syracuse gets the 6th seed. If Syracuse gets the 6th seed, the way that things stand right now, Syracuse would advance to the second round, and they would play the winner of Georgia Tech and Florida State. Georgia Tech being the 14, Florida State being the 11. So they'd have another shot at Florida State, who they just defeated, and they would have an opportunity at Georgia Tech. So that, far more ideal than putting yourself in the 8-9 matchup and then having to play the number 1 team in the country, or the number 1 team in the ACC. So what do we have here coming in? ACC certainly is all over the place. Yeah, it is. A double bye would oddly hurt Syracuse with them building their resume, which is essential. The Orange need quality wins and need them now. Winning the upcoming games will be very telling where the team is at the point of the season. Yeah, Syracuse, obviously, and Greg, great point, right? Syracuse getting a double bye would put them in a situation where they're playing less games, and they need to play more games to boost their resume. So, I guess if Syracuse, the teams that are ranked right now in the ACC are Virginia, Miami, NC State, right? So, and currently those teams are 3, 4, and 5 respectively. So, Syracuse would not be seeing them, off the if we go back and we look at it here and we look at the 3, 4, and 5, Syracuse. If Syracuse was the 6th seed, like I mentioned, then they would have an opportunity to play Virginia again, who they played twice already this season. If Syracuse, so we look at the 4 seed here, in order for Syracuse to play the 4 seed, they would have to become the 5 seed in their situation right now, because you'd like to hope that they're not going to drop to 12 or 13 to be on that line. And then for them, so they'd have to become the 5. So it looks like with Miami and with Miami where they're at and NC State where they're at, it looks like, if it happened today, NC State would be the 5, Miami would be the 4. So if we're looking at everything this morning and this were to hold, it stands at this point to make more sense Syracuse would be in the 8-9 matchup or in the 6th. So they'd either be at the top of the ACC bracket or coming from the bottom. And if they're coming from the bottom, they don't have to play the number 1 team in the ACC. However, they would have to go through playing the way things are. Virginia, like I said, for a third time, potentially having to play Pittsburgh. So I like their shot of getting up to the top 6 at least and having to play from the bottom of that bracket. Also, it gives Syracuse more time because if you're playing at the, and when I say the bottom of the bracket, it's just how the bracket's situated, top to bottom. It's not saying like worst teams or anything. If you're playing at the bottom of the bracket, Syracuse is playing the last game of the day. So if Syracuse is at the bottom of the bracket, they're guaranteed to go through the tournament and play 9:30 games. So 9:30, 9:30, 9:30, 8:30 if they were to make it to the championship. So more ideal for Syracuse to have more time, right? Than to be at the top of the bracket, which if they stay in the 8-9 matchup where they are right now, they would be playing early if they made it through the second round in the quarterfinals. They'd be playing the 8-9 matchup at noon, then they play in the quarters at noon. So it's not only imperative that you up your seeding to show the powers that be that you're getting better, but it's also a better positioning for Syracuse with the teams that are currently in the seeds that they're in the ACC tournament bracket. If those were to hold, Syracuse is better off getting to that 6th seed, getting to the top 6 in the ACC, proving that, being right around all the teams that are ranked in the nation's top 25, and getting yourself a later game. Because if they stay where they are right now, it's not only that their seeding's not as high, they're going to put themselves in a position where they're playing 9 hours earlier. So the difference between being the 6th seed or the 8-9 seed is the difference of 9 hours. It's either you're playing at noon or you're playing at 9:30, maybe later. Because I know those games, 9:30, it's an asterisk. It's we hope the game starts at 9:30, might start at 9:47, might start at 10:15. So, or 10:12, whatever it may be. So Syracuse, it would behoove them to, obviously you want a team to keep winning, but if they do keep winning, there's a lot on the line here seeding-wise. So, the 6th seed, Greg's saying it would be ideal. It would, because it puts you in the, like I said, it's not only getting a better seed, it's getting better matchups and getting nighttime games and staying away from the number 1 team in the ACC, which, say what you want to say about Clemson, they've been at number 1 and held on to number 1 for a very long time. And believe it or not, folks, Pitt is right there with them. The only thing that makes sense this season in the top 5 of the ACC is Virginia. When people think of the ACC, typically they think, what? North Carolina, Duke, Virginia. And this year, it's Clemson, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Miami, NC State, then Duke, then Wake, who's typically at the bottom, then Syracuse, then North Carolina, who's 9 right now, then BC, who's typically at the bottom, Florida State, fallen this year, all the way down to where they are in the bottom 5 at number 11, then Virginia Tech, then Notre Dame, who we thought, hey, maybe they were going to start off hot this year, do some good things, then Georgia Tech, and then Louisville, who's only won 1 game in the ACC and 3 games overall. Louisville is 3-21. 3-21. They will be going absolutely nowhere unless they win the ACC tournament, which would be insane. The only team they defeated was Georgia Tech at home, 68-58. So it's going to be really interesting. But Syracuse gets a much-needed win last night. Every win is a much-needed win. So, it's hard. I don't know if those are the right words, but they got a win against a team in Florida State that I would like to hope has gotten some respect over these last few years when I couldn't even understand why they weren't getting any. They've gotten some respect over the last few years, but at the same time, this year they're 8-17. They're not going anywhere either. So Syracuse getting the victory, coming back and figuring it out and finding a way was huge, because this win would have been another bullet hole in what would almost secure no hope of making the NCAA tournament. So Syracuse right now, I would say, is out of it, right? Some people think they need to win the ACC tournament. I don't necessarily disagree with that, right? But when you look at Syracuse's remaining games on their schedule, you say, okay, they're playing on Valentine's Day against NC State who's in the top 5 in the ACC and ranked 22nd in the country nationally. So you got that game. That's a big game to make a push, right? You beat Duke. That's a move. You beat NC State and Duke. Those are moves to get you into that top 6 slot in the ACC tournament. So the next 2 games, both at home, both massive games. Good for them, it's at home. Then they play at Clemson. That's another huge game to show the powers that be in the NCAA selection committee. That's a massive game, February 22nd. Then you play at Pittsburgh. You play the top 2 teams currently in the ACC back-to-back on the road. 2 huge games, 2 huge wins if you get them. Then you play Georgia Tech, who you have to beat. They're at the bottom. Then you play Wake Forest, who, depending on how they do, they're right next to you right now. They got the same record in the ACC. They are right there with you. So you want to beat them because you don't know where they're going to be at that time, and you don't want the last game of the regular season to decide whether or not you're in that top 6 or you're going to fall back to the 8-9 matchup. So all of these games, crucial to Syracuse. Like I said, NC State, Duke, these are games, you beat NC State, you beat a top 5. You beat Duke, you can jump. You beat NC State, you might be able to jump. And then you look at Clemson, at Pittsburgh, you put a blemish on the top 2 teams in the ACC, that catches national attention, and their road games. And it's really hard to play at the Pete we know with Pittsburgh, and Clemson's been playing phenomenal under Brad Brownell, and I'm happy that they kept him and let him build his team. And then, like I said, you got to beat Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest is right there with you. And you get to play Georgia Tech and Wake Forest at home. In their last 6 games of the regular season, 4 of them are at home. So it all bodes well for Syracuse. Now they got to get it done. I would say if you beat NC State or Duke at home, you get some national attention. If you beat them both, now all of a sudden, people are talking about a dangerously hot Syracuse team that should potentially be in the discussion depending on what they do in the ACC tournament. That's where you're at. So, Syracuse, you might be thinking, this is a bad year. I don't like it. And listen, a lot of the games haven't been well attended. But Syracuse, late in the season, right here, right now, is a team that has an opportunity with 6 games to go, 4 at home, to beat the teams ahead of them, push some teams below them, and give themselves that 6th seed that I really think is the goal is obviously to win every single game. Getting to the 6th seed would put them in a good position. And in my opinion, timing-wise of the game, matchup-wise of the game, you're in good shape. So, a lot of good stuff coming up if Syracuse wins their games. Big if wins their games. So, a couple other things to talk about before we get into Papa Joe. We have the news coming out here that the NFLPA wants to get rid of the NFL Scouting Combine. Now, the NFL Scouting Combine is, that place that not everybody gets invited to, right? It's that coveted thing that right before the draft, if you get invited there, you're going to get more eyes and ears on you and who you are than the people that don't get invited. Well, NFLPA Executive Director Damar Smith has said that he wants to get rid of the Combine. Now, during the annual Super Bowl news conference, this is when he said it. Now, he wants to abolish the Combine and, in its place, have regional pro days that the NFLPA could put on. So he wants, obviously more control for the NFLPA, for what I'm seeing here. The response came after he was asked about NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent comparing the Combine to a, quote, slave auction during league meetings. Now, he said, quote, think about it. The NCAA and the NFL structure a Combine during what should be every football player's last semester in college. Who decided that it was a good idea to take your son and have him exclusively try out for the NFL's exclusive way of getting into the league for the most part, unless you're a free agent player? You have to be invited to the Combine. As soon as you show up, you have to waive all of your medical rights, and you not only have to sit there and endure embarrassing questions, and I think that's horrible. And I don't want to poo-poo any of that, but would you want your son to spend hours inside of an MRI machine and then be evaluated by 32 separate team doctors who are, by the way, are only doing it for one reason? What's the reason? To decrease your draft value. End quote. Now, he thinks that players should not have to surrender their medical rights as part of the combine. He said it's got to start with, now this is Damar Smith once again, NFLPA executive director, quote, it's got to start with players and their agents understanding that the combine today has nothing to do with how fast you run, how high you jump, and how much you can lift. End quote. He said, quote, we've been tracking all of these players since they were in what? Grade school. If I asked you right now to pull up a high school video of the top draft picks, how long would it take you to do it? And apparently somebody shouted out 30 seconds. He said, right. So we're now in an era where we know exactly how fast these guys can run, how much they can lift, how far they can jump, do all those things. Why do we insist on them showing up in Indianapolis? It's not for anything physical, right? It's for the teams to be able to engage in intrusive employment actions that don't exist anywhere else. End quote. So he's painting a different picture, because to me, getting invited to the NFL Combine, right, when I hear that with the players that I know, good morning to Jermaine and everybody out there, when I hear a player's going to the Combine, what do most of us typically think? We go, whoa, they must be one of the best players in the country. They must be one of the best players in their position, right? There's only a few hundred people that get invited to this thing of thousands of players that are trying to make it to the NFL. This is a great honor. Well, Damar Smith painting another picture saying, this is not an honor. This is something that is invasive, intrusive. And did you know before this morning when I told you that those players have to waive all of their medical rights and potentially have all 32 franchises doctors check them? Think about that. If you had to go to the doctor's office and a doctor said something to you in Syracuse and you had to go to 31 other doctor's office to have them all figure out what they think, and then at the end of it all, you had to figure out how you're going to do it, because not every doctor is going to be the same. Not all of them are going to prescribe the same things. Not all of them are going to say the same things. So who has the correct information? Right? Greg said, not a terrible idea. More players will get league-wide exposure with multiple regional pro day and workouts. Team seems like a win-win for the NFL and the prospective athletes. Now, and it's a win-win for the NFLPA, because if they want to put it on, they have control. Right? What it comes down to is this change could be control. So you have to remember that side of it too. It's not just, oh, let's do good things for the players. It gives the NFL Players Association the opportunity to have full control. Now, if they use that control for the right and the betterment of the players, then that's fine. If they use it for their own personal gain, and Damar Smith is looking to just gain power over certain things, then that is a different story. So it all comes down to what is the reason behind the reason, because that's always the reason, right? The reason behind the reason, or sometimes the reason behind the reason behind the reason behind the reason. So that is reality. You got to pay attention. You got to read between the lines, right? Understand what the tea leaves are saying to you. I do want to make a note here before we get PJ on the show. And I give a big time shout out to the fact that Damar Hamlin, former Pitt Panther and Buffalo Bill currently, made an appearance publicly, let's go, to receive his NFLPA award. So we'll keep with the NFLPA here. He was named the NFLPA Allen Page Community Award winner yesterday for his work in raising more than $9 million for his Chasing Amos Foundation in the days after he collapsed during the January 2nd game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, he took the stage with his parents at the Phoenix Convention Center to accept the trophy. He said these words, quote, "Giving back to my community has always been a big part of who I am. I'm thankful to my father, who's right here beside me. Growing up, just watching him do community days in our community, and I just always was waiting on my time when it came." End quote. Now, for receiving the award, Hamlin's foundation received a $100,000 donation. NFLPA Executive Director Damar Smith, who's getting a lot of pub today on Wake Up Call, he said, quote, "He's not only an individual who has overcome a tremendous amount, he's not only a person who reminds us just how dangerous this game is, but also the spirit, the love, the joy, the fraternity of people who play this game. End quote. Now, the millions in donations went to GoFundMe for Hamlin's Chasing M's Foundation and initially had a goal of $2,500 that he set in December of 2020 for a toy drive in his hometown of McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, while he was still a Pitt Panther. Now, it's over $9 million. Crazy. So, Hamlin walked to the podium, followed by his parents, Mario and Nina. And Hamlin said, quote, "One of my favorite quotes, it's a blessing to be a blessing. With that being said, I plan to never take this position for granted and always have an urgent approach in making a difference in the community where I come from and also communities across the world." So, a big shout out to Damar Hamlin. One of his favorite quotes, and it gives me chills. It literally has given me multiple chills looking at it today, thinking about it and reading it. It's a blessing to be a blessing. It's a blessing to be a blessing. Now, on SiriusXM's Dr. Radio program, NFL Players Association Medical Director Tom Mayer was asked if Damar Hamlin would ever play again. He said, and I quote, "I don't want to get into HIPAA issues, but I guarantee you that Damar Hamlin will play professional football again." And DeMaurice Smith responded to those comments by the doc and said, quote, "Damar's recovery has been remarkable, but any decision about his football future will be made by Damar and his family. Obviously, any decision and message about his return to football will come from him on his own time." End quote. So, the answer that you got to give as the Players Association executive director. So, I'm going to put up a poll today on Twitter, as we do throughout the weeks. So, at CallDT, go on Twitter, follow me, and vote today. Do you want to see an end to the NFL Combine in place of regional pro days? I'm going to put the poll up today as we speak at CallDT. That's CALLDT on Twitter. Follow me and answer the poll question. Now, Greg said, "I'm sure it will be discussed, but not sure how much. If a fan PJ is of the NBA game, it's clear that MJ is your number one all-time player. Who else is in your top 5 all-time?" Now, that is a great question, Greg. I have discussed this before on the show, and it is very difficult because I can argue that the majority of my Mount Rushmore plus one, right, the top 5 NBA players of all time, I can argue that the majority of them are Lakers. And, I could put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar up there. I could put Magic Johnson up there. I could put Kobe Bryant up there with Michael Jordan. But then where do you put Larry Bird and Oscar Robertson? And so, there is it's a very difficult question to answer. So, it's something to talk about, and I know somebody perfect to have that conversation with, and we're going to look to have him on the show this coming week. Very excited about that. But we'll talk with Papa J about a lot of great stuff. We got to almost all the topics in hour number 1. The ones that we haven't, we will bring into hour 2 with Papa Joe after this fast break inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. You are watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which I appreciate so very much. Can't thank you enough for it. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, you and I will have Papa Joe in hour number 2 bringing us through some of these topics here, which include Roger Goodell speaking on the officiating in the NFL this season. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers going on a retreat. We'll also talk about Tom Brady, the championship game between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we'll get PJ's thoughts on Jim Boeheim right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Stay with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we are so happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And it is hour 2 of today's broadcast. PJ, who's always with us on Thursdays, is back with us today in hour number 2 instead of starting off the show. So happy to have PJ here with us and get to talk about so many different things. In hour number 2, we're going to touch on a bunch of different topics. We'll be talking about Aaron Rodgers going on a retreat to figure out what he's going to do with that $50 million that he signed last year to stay with Green Bay. And now, it must be an interesting world to live in when you can hold a team hostage, demand they bring back the players that you want, call out your teammates in public, get $50 million in an extension per year, then right after you sign all that, go, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to play here next year, but thanks for the $50 million. So very interesting, the situation we are in with Aaron Rodgers, and a true sign of the times that to some people, a contract it might as well have been written on toilet paper. So we'll discuss that with PJ. We'll talk about Tom Brady, the NFL championship game between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we'll get PJ's thoughts on Jim Boeheim coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. PJ, how we doing?
Very good, Daniel. Very good.
Happy to have you here on the show, as always, PJ. And, we're just going to hop right into it. Let's jump here. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to paint a little picture for you. So this is what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to give you some background on what's going on with Mr. Rodgers. So in Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood, we still don't know what's going to happen with this man and his future. Now, he's going on a retreat, and here's some info. Now, he is going to be going on this retreat. He said, I've got a pretty cool opportunity to do a little self-reflection in some isolation. After then, and then after that, I feel like I'll be a lot closer to a final decision, end quote. Now, he's 39 years old. He has not decided if he's going to play this season and whether it's going to be for the Packers or another team. I think it's hilarious that somebody under contract can say, I don't know if I'm going to abide by my contract. I don't know if I come back, if I'm going to play for... Like, you go to a team you just signed an extension with and said the same stuff you were doing last year. I don't know if I want to play with you. I don't know if I want to be here. So he said that he could potentially retire. Quote, for sure, it's a real thing, 100%. That's why it's going to be important to get through this week and take my isolation retreat and just to be able to contemplate all things, my future, and then be able to make a decision that I think is best for me moving forward in the highest interest of my happiness, and then move forward. End quote. So now the retreat, he said, it's just sitting in isolation, meditation, dealing with your thoughts. It stimulates DMT, which is funny because those are my initials. And apparently so, it stimulates Daniel Michael Tortora. I don't know. But it says it stimulates DMT, so there can be some hallucinations in there, but it's just kind of sitting in silence, which most of us never do. We rarely even turn our phone off or put the blinds down to sleep in darkness. I'm really looking forward to it, end quote. Now, the retreat is going to be alone in the confines of a small house in an undisclosed location. Meals are going to be delivered to him, but otherwise there's no contact with the outside world. So I think it's hilarious. It's like, I'm not talking to anybody in the outside world, but I'm getting DoorDash and Grubhub. So, I mean, it's very interesting here. So he is going to be out there. He said, I'm, quote, not a free agent. I'm under contract with the Packers. That gets lost in the conversation a lot. In years past, there's been a couple years where we got ousted from the playoffs by the Niners, and then I went and played at Pebble, and those years were very razzing, I would say, from the crowd. A lot of Niner yells and other various well-timed trash talk. So he was talking about, obviously, being on the PGA Tour. So PJ, he's going to be taking a darkness retreat. During this retreat, he could have hallucinations. He's going to be by himself, but have food delivered to him, and he's going to figure out what he's going to do with the Packers and the NFL. I would love to have your thoughts.
Daniel, I think the guy's flipped. I think he's nuts. I think he's just, I think he's gone beyond being rational here with this whole situation. The Packers have no couillons. They should dump his ass, eat the contract, do whatever they have to do, get rid of it, and start planning for a football season. He just can't keep doing this. And look, I love the Packers. I die with the Packers. I live and die with the Packers because of my bros up there. And, of course, the Jaguars. But this is beyond sensible. It's ridiculous. And it's getting worse. Now, what the hell is he going to say when he comes back from his retreat, quote-unquote retreat? You know, sit around, drink a few beers, watch television, and figure out where you want to play. I don't get it. Don't like it. The Packers have just been way too non-committal with this guy. I think they need to make a move and say, listen, Aaron, you got 24 hours to tell us what's up. If you don't do it, you're going to be released. We'll pay you whatever we owe you, but we got to get on with our football team. We need quarterbacks, so I'll have to go get some. But that, you know, I don't have a problem with that. So, you know, if the Packers got to eat $100,000, then they got to do it. But it's inane. It's ridiculous. I don't want to talk about it or read about it anymore. Every time I turn on my computer or read the paper or pull up EWTN or ESPN, that's all I hear about is Rodgers, what he wants to do, Rodgers, what he wants to do. He's given his best to the game. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame. He's going to go in as a Packer. You know, Aaron, you don't know me, you don't hear me, and you probably don't care, but look it. Either poop or get off the pot and make a decision.
Yeah, you know, and I just find it interesting that, oh yeah, so it's and Greg just sent to us ayahuasca. It's a plant-based psychedelic, so it can affect all the senses. Because that, I mean, he didn't say that in that. He said DMT, which I thought was funny because those are my initials. But the fact that, you know, it says ayahuasca is a plant-based psychedelic, which, I don't know, whatever. So basically, I mean, what does that mean? You're going into a dark house to do drugs, and that's going to help you figure out if you're going to be a Packer? I mean, listen, I'm all about retreats. They change your life. I have led them. I have been on them. They are incredibly useful if you go to the right places with the right, you know, message and the right help and the right kind of attention to detail and whatnot. There's some fantastic retreats out there. The Search Retreat being one of them. We did a beach retreat. So there are some really nice ones that you can do. But, you know, listen, Aaron Rodgers, retreat or no retreat, whatever's going on, he has been a drama queen, and it continues. A couple of years ago, I was still an Aaron Rodgers fan despite the weird drama BS. I said, okay, we'll get over it. He'll go back to football, I'll be fine. Then he's dating somebody who could be like, I don't know, maybe his daughter. And so, well, no, maybe it was 10 years apart. So he's out there, he's dating. And then it's like, well, is he going to come to camp? No, he's at a waterfall right now. And it seemed like he just, see, here's the thing. It was, okay, Aaron Rodgers is in the news. Okay, well, there's just paparazzi, people bothering him. And you brush it off. And then it happens again and you brush it off. And it happens again, you brush it off. After 2 years of it, you're like, maybe this guy's just a whore for the camera. Maybe he likes to have himself filmed, that he likes people talking about him. Why is Aaron not at camp? Why is Aaron not doing this? Why is Aaron at the waterfall? Why is Aaron dating Danica Patrick? Why is Aaron dating this person? Why is Aaron dating that person? Why is Aaron not dating? And it was, it's become Madonna. It's become Mariah Carey. It's become annoying. It's become useless information that has nothing to do with football. Now, I'm not saying that we don't get to know Aaron Rodgers as a person. I'm saying that he's a tabloid queen now. That's what it's become. He is the front page of the tabloid. He's the Real Housewife of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I am tired of hearing about, I hear more about Aaron Rodgers' dating life, retreats, psychedelic drug, whatever the heck he's going. I hear more about all of the non-football stuff than I hear about what he's doing to become a better quarterback. What's he doing to make sure that this team makes the playoffs this year? Is he going to stop calling out his teammates in public? There are things happening on the football field and connected to the football field, but we don't hear that anymore. We hear, if you ask somebody right now, what did you hear about Aaron Rodgers in the last year? They would tell you, we heard about him maybe not playing. We heard about how much money he's making. We know that they didn't make the playoffs. And then we heard all this stuff that had nothing to do with football. We learned about this girlfriend, that girlfriend, this retreat, what's going on. Now, it's funny that he says, people forget I'm a Green Bay Packer. Well, Aaron, I feel like you forget that you're a Green Bay Packer. You're under contract. You just took the team's money to an extent that's going to cripple their franchise. You took so much money that Davante Adams left 3 days later. I'm not going to think that's a coincidence. Davante Adams walked away from this team 3 days after Aaron Rodgers signed his contract. So Aaron is signed until 2026, I believe, at this point. So he's got to play this season, next season, and at least the season after that. That's where he's at. That's reality. The cap hit that he has to Green Bay in 2023 is over $31 million. In 2024, it goes to $40+ million. In 2025, he's going to hit the cap of the Green Bay Packers for over $59 million. You are a Green Bay Packer. You held them hostage. They paid you the money. Every single year, you don't get to sit here and do this dumb, I just want attention, look at me, look at me, look at me. If you didn't want to be a Green Bay Packer and you didn't want to do this, why would you go through all the trouble of the nasty public divorce for you to re-sign with this team, keep your wedding ring, stay in the house, and then tell people, well, I might get divorced again this year?
Well, you're right on everything you say, of course. And Aaron is we know he's a complicated person. He's an extraordinary athlete, very bright, very brilliant, probably. IQ is high, but this, I don't know if he's playing it just because he wants to, or actually maybe he is so conflicted that he can't make a decision. But it has to stop, and the only way to stop it is the Packers have got to do something. It's not going to be Aaron. If I ran a business like that, and my star player or someone like that had to come up to me and said, I need time off because I need to think or something like that, I would say, well, okay, you can go into the HR office, get a check, and you can come back in a couple of years if I need you. I'm not going to pay you anymore. And that's what Green Bay needs to do. If they don't, I know they don't like this. I mean, no one likes it up there. My brother-in-laws can't stand it. But we're all Packers, and we're Packers. And then, Green Bay, get some balls and just tell a guy to hit the road. If he wants to play somewhere else, that's fine. if he wants to retire and
Efforts,
go
and then,
into the
you
Hall
know,
of Fame as a
Green
backup,
Bay
that's
gets the
fine
balls
also.
and
But
just tell the guy.
enough of this. They got a quarterback that's going to go under, and his fifth year. Jordan Love, right? Fifth year, and he's played on a rookie contract, and the kid hasn't played yet. I mean, I don't know if he's going to amount to anything, but there's only so much that you can sit behind Rodgers and learn, just like he did with Brett Favre. But Aaron Rodgers is an infinitely better quarterback than Jordan Love. That's for sure. But this kid is being groomed. If you want to give him a chance, do that. Tell it to him now. Say, listen, you're the man before we start anything else. You're the man. Aaron won't be here anymore. Aaron is gone doing something else. You're the man. We'll start putting together game plans together, and you start talking. That's what it is. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. If you're in business and you got your bottom line is hurting, and if something is bothering you, you need to make a change. You make an alteration of some sort. Aaron is in the way, I believe. He's in the way, and he doesn't need to be in the way. He needs to leave. So if he tells them in 24 hours and said, I want to come back and play next year, fine. But that's the end of it. I don't want any more of this stuff.
And here with Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call this morning on inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. I mean, listen, I agree with you about this. It has gone on for too long, and this is what people need to understand. He is not crippling your franchise, because if you are a true NFL franchise, you know that you are a 365-day. If you're any business, you are a 365-day business. If you're any business, you are an everyday business. You can't just be like, I'm not a business today. No, you're a business every day. From the moment you're incorporated, LLC, whatever, you are a business. So, with that being said, Aaron Rodgers, in this BS that he's doing, you are affecting, like you said, the game planning of the Green Bay Packers. You are affecting what they go after, how they go after, when they go after, who they go after. And the draft is coming up in just a couple months. Jordan Love could be getting antsy. And on top of all of this stuff, whatever Aaron Rodgers does today, he is crippling this team. I read you the money. 31 million now, 40 million next season, 59 million the year after that. He is crippling this team. And let it be known, folks, if this drama continues to happen and Green Bay continues to put up with it, it only gets worse. When you are in a relationship, what do they tell you? This could be a boss to an employee, this could be a family member, this could be a friend, this could be a romantic relationship. The first time somebody does something, it's a mistake. The second time they do it, it's a habit. The third time, it is who they are. It is a lifestyle. And what you're seeing with Aaron Rodgers is what is becoming, to me, from the outside looking in and not knowing all the information, but the information that I have seen and do know, a lifestyle. And it's only going to get worse because it's only gotten worse unless he decides to change or Green Bay decides to stick up for themselves. He's not going to cripple the team this year, next year, or the year after. He's going to cripple this team for years after he leaves. Because the longer he takes to make up his mind and this stuff, listen, PJ, if he plays this year, I put my money on he does this next year and the year after that. He's not going to stop going on retreats to the middle of nowhere, having Grubhub bring him his Pizza Hut. He's going to continue to do this, in my opinion, every year. Why? Because he gets away with it. He called out his teammates in public. What did he do shortly after? He did it again. This man gets away with murder in Green Bay, so he continues to figuratively murder. That's what he's doing. He's not going to stop because nobody's stopping him. He's not going to stop himself. So the way I see it, he's not just hurting your franchise now. He's going to hurt your franchise for years to come because he is affecting your ability to move on because he doesn't know when he's going to move on. And that's a problem.
That is true. That's true. And, hey, pay him the money. Green Bay, pay him the money. Tell him goodbye. Thank you for your service. We got to move on, too. And whatever they got to eat, they got to eat. So, end of story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a financial setback. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
You're not going to – most clubs don't have $100,000 laying around in cash that they got to pay off their star player with. But, that's what they got to do. And That's what I would like to see. And as a Packer fan for so many years, and live and die with the Packers. And it's just, he's too much. He's too much.
Well, and you look at, and here's I got 2 more points to make in this, in connection with Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers was drafted and put on this team when who was there? Brett Favre. Brett Favre couldn't make his mind up and held the team hostage. Aaron had to live through, I'm playing, I'm not playing, 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 I'm going to play in Green Bay, I'm going to play somewhere else, I'm going to play in Green Bay, I'm going to play somewhere else. Now he's doing the same thing. Brett Favre made him wait 3-4 years. Now he's making Jordan Love wait 3-4 years. And that's not fair, right? It's like you had to go through the drama. Now you're putting somebody else through the drama. You're paying drama forward, which isn't a beautiful thing to do. Because when people pay it forward, you can pay forward positive things, you can pay forward negative things. Right now, he's Brett Favring Jordan Love. And you brought it up. He's in the 4th year, not 5th year of his contract. He's in the 4th year of his contract. But, PJ, this is important. Jordan Love is in the final year of his guaranteed contract. His rookie contract this year, in year number 4, 2023-24, he's going to cost them less than $4 million. As opposed to Aaron Rodgers costing you over $30 million. The 5th year option is an option for the team. So Jordan Love could have wasted the first 4 years of his career in Green Bay and get cut by Green Bay. They could tell him at the start of the season, because Aaron decided to stay, we're not keeping your contract. Then Aaron could retire mid-season or after the season or do this all over again with the drama. And now you don't have Aaron Rodgers and you don't have Jordan Love. So Jordan Love's been waiting 3 years. Now he's probably going to be waiting 4 unless something changes. And he could lose out his entire rookie contract. He's made money for being on the roster, but he could go through his entire rookie contract and get kicked off of Green Bay's team, never having truly been their starter.
And we don't know if he can play yet. I mean, he's got talent, I'm sure, but I'm not sure that he's going to be the person to go forward with. And if the more Green Bay messes around like this and screws around with Aaron, then they won't find out themselves. What are we going to do? Let the kid play for the first couple of months of next season? He'll throw 5 TDs and 10 interceptions like my man Jameis, and he'd be out on his ass. So, it's not a good situation. It's sorry. It's unfortunate, but, we as Patriot fans, we've got to look at the bright side. The bright side is that I don't think he's coming back. Number 2, Jordan Love's going to be a quarterback. They need to support the kid, give him everything they want, everything that they can use, that he can use at his fingertips to be a good professional quarterback. If he makes it, fine. If he doesn't, well, then the Packers are right back in the seat again looking for someone else.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, this is a year rich with quarterbacks, and I'm sure that Aaron Rodgers, in his dramatic brain, knows that this is a year for quarterbacks. And it honestly seems like, I'm surprised, and I told you this, I'm surprised that Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay signed an extension last year because it looked like a messy divorce that had spilled out into the public and it was only going to get worse. Then all of a sudden they're staying together. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is staying in the house just so his ex can't move on. It's kind of like a man staying in the house so his ex-wife can't date anybody. And that's how I feel. It's like if he stays here in a year that's rich in quarterbacks, potentially an NFL draft, now you're doing exactly what I said. You're taking away their present and you're taking away their future. I do want to make a note here. We did put up a poll. We put up polls all the time. Twitter @CallDT. That's CALLDT. And the poll we put up, who's been the best hire, in your opinion, in the NFL? Now, this is going to surprise you folks because the man that was the front runner is now in last place when the poll has ended a week later. Sean Payton to the Broncos was the favorite choice in the beginning. You now consider him to be the least of the 3. 23.4% of you said Sean Payton to the Broncos was the best hire. 36.2% of you said DeMeco Ryans to the Texans. 40.4% of you somehow, some way, found a way to take the person, I believe, who was in last place and tell me around the country that Frank Reich to the Panthers, the Colts coach that was fired midseason, was the best hire of the 3. Agree or disagree, PJ?
Oh, no, it's absurd. Frank Wright's a good coach. He's proved he can win. He's an ex-quarterback. I remember who played for the Bills years ago. But the person on that list that has the most credibility is Sean Payton, of course. The Ryan man, again, he's going into a terrible situation in Houston, and he's going to have to make his best decisions going forward. Yeah. But Sean Payton is already established. He's a winner, got a great record in the NFL. He's a good coach, great playmaker. Love to watch him. I'm excited for Denver. I'm happy that they finally got a coach that I think will put them over the hump.
Let's discuss this for a second here. PJ here with us, Papa Joe, on Thursdays here with us 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. And we appreciate you being here with us around the world, youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all / Wake Up Call DT to keep it easy and simple for you worldwide inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. PJ, I think that what I'm about to say to you is going to make you laugh. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. The NFL Commissioner, Roger Goodell, came out and said the NFL officiating has never been better. Your thoughts?
Roger, I'm not sure. Roger sometimes boggles the mind with some of the things he says. That anyone who's a pure football fan or a sports fan knows that statement has no credibility whatsoever. Look, at the game is being officiated by older men who can't particularly keep up with the pace on the field. The plays are so fast and so quick. The players are so fast and so quick that if something happens in front of them, they got to go review it 10 times a game. There comes time to reevaluate your system, and start all over again if you have to. But you need more fitter people out there. I know it's kind of sending remark. I don't want to say anything disparaging about the umpires that are already there and the referees. They're doing the best that they can. But the game needs the positions need to be a lot younger so they can run up and down the field and keep track of these things. The players are bigger and faster than ever, and you've got the same group of older men that are trying to keep the game together. That's not going to work, Daniel. I've always been a favor of bringing a younger person in. It doesn't have to be a 20, of course, not 25 or 28, 35, 40, something like that, 45. But most of the umpires and the referees are older. Let's face it, and they just can't keep up with the game anymore.
Well, how about this, that Roger Goodell also touched on this. Roger Goodell acknowledged that, released by the league, concussions rose 18% from last season to this season, 126 to 149. But Roger Goodell claimed that it's because the league has broadened the definition of the injury and that more evaluations equal more concussions. He said the league will look into how to improve helmets for players and pointed out the data released last week also found that injuries decreased from last season 5.6. I want to go to something that he said here. He said there's more concussions this season than last season because they've broadened the definition of a concussion. That, to me, makes no sense. The second thing is he said more evaluations equal more concussions. No, they don't. I can go to the doctor right now and get evaluated for a concussion. I don't have one. So what does that even mean? That's like saying the more people that go to the doctor, the more people are sick. It's not true. A bunch of healthy people can go to the doctor. Doctor said totally fine. So I want to get your thoughts on this. He says there's more concussions this year than last year for two reasons. One being that the league broadened the definition of a concussion and because more people were evaluated.
Well, it's an amazing statement in itself. It's incredible too. I look at the game every year and I try to be objective about it and how it's run, how it's operated. The one thing that bothers me is that I know that the league is trying to keep track, trying to keep the players safe. That's I don't have a problem with that. They're doing the best that they can. Why don't they look at other areas that are continually a problem? And one of it is the field. If you're running around and you're a quarterback, and you get slammed to the turf, and you get hit on one of these artificial surfaces, you're not going to get up and you're going to have a concussion for 3 years. If you're on grass, it's a little bit different. I think there's too many variables, Daniel. Yeah. Too many variables, and it's just he's not being logical at all. I mean, for a person that runs the most valuable sports program in the world to say some of these things, nonsensical.
Yeah, I mean, the more people get evaluated, the more that doesn't make any sense. So, but I mean, there it is. It's there. Now, he said that the NFL brought in the definition of a concussion. I didn't know the NFL was a doctor. I didn't know the NFL was a doctor's office. I guess I know now that, if I got an owie or I got a little cough, I can just go to Roger Goodell and he can help me feel better because now he's a doctor. The definition of a concussion, and I'm not witch hunting, I'm just going to the words that he said. Just like with Mark Emmert of the NCAA when he said, I have no control over college football. And I said, okay, well, then it's not an NCAA sport anymore. It's its own thing. So this is the definition of a concussion, Mr. Goodell. Since you can't broaden the definition of it because you are not a doctor, nor is the NFL. A concussion is a traumatic brain injury that affects your brain function. Effects are usually temporary, but can include headaches and problems with concentration, memory, balance, and coordination. Concussions are usually caused by a blow to your head. There are 3 types of concussions. A grade 1 concussion is mild. Symptoms that last less than 15 minutes and entail no loss of consciousness. A grade 2 concussion is moderate. Symptoms that last for longer than 15 minutes and involve no loss of consciousness. And a grade 3 is severe, where the person loses consciousness. Anybody can look up the definition of a concussion. But apparently, according to Roger Goodell, the NFL has a different definition, a broader one. Maybe a concussion are people that eat snacks. Maybe a concussion are people that watch too much television. Maybe you can get a concussion by driving your car. I have no idea. Because apparently, according to Roger Goodell, the broader definition, what is it? Looking into the sun can cause a concussion? Eating too much pizza? I have no idea. But when you say things in public, you should probably think about what you're saying and the representation that it gives, because you are not a doctor, and this makes no sense. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. I'm so happy that Aaron Rodgers and Roger Goodell have cleared up nothing when it comes to logic, rational behavior. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll be back right after this fast break with plenty more from PJ and I inside of the sports world in the Cafe Kubal studios. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in their community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop CafeCabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, salsa Cuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, as well as 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York, inside of their double-decker cafe where we were yesterday for a Dolphin Dive takeover on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location in North Syracuse. We are decked out in Witty Wicks goodness here, folks. It is all throughout here. We have our Witty Wicks upstate New York stuff that you can hang on your tree during Christmas. You can hang it in your house during the year, and I suggest you have it up all year round. We have the upside-down Coleman's light that's right here, the upside-down light that's right by our zoo in Syracuse with the green on the top. That is a real light. You can come out and see it. And, of course, you have our Cuse Pillow Home Sweet Home, our 315 Syracuse with the dome. We have our 315 Home Sweet Home sign as well. And I suggest you get yourself out to Cafe Kubal as well as Witty Wicks. Cafe Kubal, our studio partner, and Witty Wicks with all of this awesome stuff decking out our studio. And they are out in Philadelphia bringing even more stuff in to what has been voted the #1 gift shop in Central New York for 3 straight years. Witty Wicks, 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus. You know where it's at. And if you're PJ and you're out of town, you can go to wittywicks.com. With that being said, Papa Joe and I have final pieces of our conversation to talk about. PJ, let's hop right into the championship game. The Chiefs, the Eagles, the Andy Reid Bowl. I said it in my house before Tony Romo said it, and I was like, dang it, Tony, I wanted to put that on the show before you got it. So, the Andy Reid Bowl. Andy Reid led both franchises to the Super Bowl, did not win the one with the Eagles, which had who? Syracuse quarterback Donovan McNabb, what's up? And brought Kansas City in 3 of the last 4 seasons. Been incredible. Andy Reid has only gotten better as a coach. He took a team that was like a 2-14 type of team and brought them to multiple Super Bowl appearances, including this year. My question to you, PJ, did the 2 best teams in the NFL make the championship game, in your opinion? And who's going to win the game and why?
I think the 2 best teams did. Certainly we know what Kansas City's capable of doing on the offensive side of the board. And the more I looked into Philadelphia and the more that I researched them a little bit more, the more that I feel like they are an exceptional team, probably one of the total complete teams that I've seen in the Super Bowl in several years. Complete meaning offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah.
They have the weaknesses. They have it all put together. Sirianni's done a great job. Whether he was slighted by Andy Reid, I don't care. He's done a great job putting it together. Jalen Hurts does not have to prove anything anymore. He's a franchise quarterback. They need to pay him. This team is solid. Now, granted, they haven't seen anyone like Patrick Mahomes. Let's face it. Who I like in the game, I'm going to give a little soliloquy here. The over and under is 51. You know what that is. And the point spread's 1.5 points. To me, that's a pick'em game. I don't delve in half points or anything like that. I think that Philadelphia, frankly, has been maligned over the last couple of years, but they have an exceptional team. And frankly, this team will win the Super Bowl by stopping Kansas City more times than they care to think about. It'll be a low-scoring game. I think that Philadelphia is just so strong on every position in every team.
Yeah.
Offensive, defensive, special teams. I think they can make a few mistakes and still win. Patrick Mahomes is like a little gunslinger. I mean, he's back there throwing all over the place. And let's face it, he's not going to be 100%. I don't care what he says or what Andy Reid says or what Travis Kelce says. The guy's not going to be 100%. If he gets nailed in the first minute of the game and has to limp around, the game is over. They got to take care of him. I think you're going to see Patrick Mahomes stay in the pocket a little bit more. And he may dance around a little bit, but for him to get outside and maybe run for 5 or 8 yards, I think that would be ill-advised. And for me, I wouldn't do that, Patrick. I think that if he stays in the pocket, he can probably put up enough yards and points to stay competitive, especially with Kelce. That's the way I see it. I think that Philadelphia hasn't been given the credit that they deserve. I think that they're an excellent football team. Subsequently, I think they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Philadelphia is going to win it. I don't know why the score 28-23 keeps, flowing in I just keep seeing it in my head, But I think Kansas City is – I agree with you. I don't think that Pat Mahomes is 100%. And, I honestly believe that – Jalen Hurts sat out for a few weeks to get better in the regular season. And granted, Philadelphia had to win their last game of the season in order to make sure they won the NFC East. But at the same time, they gave him time. They gave Jalen Hurts time to just heal, right? Time away, time to get better. I can attest to the fact that time, even if you just get a little bit of it, that extra time to get better, to heal, to rest, to relax, to recharge, to refuel is important. Pat Mahomes hasn't had that because he won't come out of a game. So I respect him as an athlete. I respect Jalen Hurts as an athlete. I respect that they want to be on the field. But I think Jalen Hurts having time to heal his body and Pat Mahomes not could be a really huge part of this game. I think that Kansas City is dangerous. I think Pat Mahomes is dangerous even at 50%, 70%, 97%. But I think Jalen Hurts is too much offensively with the weapons he has, the defense, and the special teams. I agree with you. The best team in football all year long has been the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they're going to prove it and win a Super Bowl. So I look forward to it, definitely, and I'm excited for the Kelce bros. We got the Kelce brothers going to be playing in this game against each other. They're both trying to win their second Super Bowl. They already have one under their belt. Jason Kelce, this center for the Philadelphia Eagles. Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. What are your thoughts on the fact that two things, the Kelce brothers get to face each other, and the fact that Andy Reid, who was considered washed up and done after he left Philadelphia by some, has now brought both of these franchises to the Super Bowl?
Well, he's an extraordinary coach. There's no doubt about it. He's a player's coach. He looks like maybe a big teddy bear. He doesn't lose his cool. He's just a perfect coach for these kind of kids these days. These kind of kids don't like to be told what to do. They come out of college, they're 5 stars or whatever the hell you want to call them. They're all sorts of, they're all conference and all of this kind of stuff. And yet he can suit them down and say, listen, this is how we're going to do it at Kansas City. This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. And if you have a problem with that, you can talk to me. But I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to chastise you in front of your friends. I will tell you how I feel. And if you don't like it, I can remove you. He's that kind of coach. He's not a yellow, screamy guy. Sirianni's the same kind of guy. I love them both. Sirianni probably doesn't get enough credit for what he did this year. But Andy Reid deserves all the credit, period, for anything that he does. He did a great job with Philadelphia. Didn't have the best team, maybe not the best quarterback when he was with Philly, with McNabb, but he's got the quarterback now and he's got the team. You got a defensive guy that can absolutely wreak havoc in the backfield of Philadelphia if they don't watch it. So I applaud Andrew Reid's efforts. He's just a wonderful guy to watch and listen to, and even on his commercials, he's funny. I get a kick out of that. I think that he's just a real guy. He's just a real down-home guy, and I think he's not going to let Patrick Mahomes hang out there. He's going to give him enough rope to do his thing. If he can bounce around in the pocket and maybe see Kels every once in a while and fire the ball to him, that'd be fine. I just don't think you're going to see him try to get too many yards on his own. I think that would be ill-advised, and Andy knows that, and Patrick knows that. But when the game is being played and he's got 4 seconds to throw the ball, you've got to make quick decisions, and he can do that. Reid has no problem making any decisions at all, and Patrick has proved that he can make quick decisions in infinitesimal time, so small that I swear Reid has no problem making any decisions at all, and Patrick has proved that he can go down the field, be covered. All of a sudden, he takes a little juke, winds up in some part of the field which is not where the play was supposed to be, and Macholl finds him and throws him the ball, and they complete the pass, so they get a touchdown. That's Holmes right there. That's McCombs right there. It's him and Kels. They have a telepathic way of doing this, and I don't think they have to talk. If they can look over each other and they know what's happening. And Kels knows that when Patrick hasn't thrown the ball in 3 or 4 seconds, and he starts dancing around, that's when Kels does his little jigaboo out there, and he's bouncing all over the place until he finds an area. Hopefully Patrick finds him, and then they get the first down, and they keep going. Extraordinary. But I don't think Philadelphia's going to give Patrick that much time to throw the ball. I think that he's going to be inundated in the pocket. His tacklers are going to be under duress to try to keep him standing upright. And there's a saying that, fellas, you gotta keep me standing for 5 seconds, and we can win the game. That's what they got to do, Daniel.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Joey wrote into the show and said, "I can't believe my bro and my father are against me." So, sorry, but that's where we are. We got to take Philly here, but it will have some fun FaceTimes for this for sure. We did get something before we talk about our final subject today, PJ. I wanted to get to something that Greg sent to us. He said, "Got a prop bet for you too. Which snack commercial will air first during the Super Bowl? Doritos or M&M's?"
Oh, jeez. You know how much these guys are paying for 30-second commercials?
It used to be $2 million for a 30-second. Probably more now.
$1 million now. I don't know. Greg, I'm going to go out on a limb and say to M&M's. Why? Because I don't eat Doritos, but I love M&M's.
PJ's going to take M&M's. I love M&M's more than Doritos, but I'm going to take Doritos because Doritos has spent a lot of money over these last few years, so I got to take Doritos, believing that, in my opinion, they have become like one of the main commercial partners of the Super Bowl. So I think I'm going to say Doritos because I just feel like they're becoming that one that you're expecting almost to see every single year, just like the Clydesdales and whatnot. So, PJ, with that being said, final topic, Jim Boeheim. Do you like his bedside manner? Do you like the fact that he calls out other teams? Do you like the fact that sometimes he says things that aren't necessarily based in truth, but he just says what he feels? Sometimes things he could get sued over, like claiming that teams buy players. But what are your thoughts on Jim Boeheim? 47 years in the chair, and people are calling for him to leave his job. They're getting mad at him. They're writing smut about him. They're baiting him. They're trying to play victim to him. So he responded to a younger reporter. He didn't swear at him. He didn't yell at him. He just told the guy he didn't like his question and he didn't like his attitude because he asked about a player that didn't even play in the game. So overall, you have seen Jim Boeheim coach for many, many a year. What do you think about Jim Boeheim's bedside manner?
I think Jim's losing a little bit. I think the pressure to win at a major place like Syracuse is getting to him. I don't care if he's been there 47 years or 7 years. It's too much for him. And for him to say some of the stupid things that I heard this week about the kids trying to get their image on a to make a deal, or talking some of the inane stuff that he was talking about. I feel that I think he's past his prime, Daniel, and I think it's time for the university to finally say something and say, Jim, who else? You talk about Syracuse University and you think about Jim Boeheim. That's the way it is. No football, no nothing like that. Jim Boeheim for all these years. I think he won an NCAA. I think with Keith Smart was he the guard? Well, yeah. I think Jim's gone past his prime. I think he's saying some stuff now that he shouldn't be saying. Maybe his opinion, but you're a big man out there, and your school doesn't appreciate what you're saying. So I think it's time for him to move on, Daniel.
Yeah, he made a lot of comments this week, a lot of interesting things, and things that you don't say if you understand business. I will say that. I'll defend him when I need to, but I got to tell you, the reality of it all is you can't go out and make claims, especially when it comes to buying players, unless you know for a fact it's going on and you can provide evidence to that. So, we shall see. But the big game is this weekend. It is this Sunday, Philadelphia, Kansas City. The NFL always starts off slow. It's like, oh my gosh, it's week 1. And then bang, it's the final game of the season. It always feels like this. That's why you got to appreciate every moment, folks. I appreciate every moment I get with you, PJ. I love you to pieces. To my big bro, I love you. I'm sorry. I'm siding with Jason Kelsey and not Travis Kelsey. But I look forward to this weekend and being on video with Miss Mary T, PJ, and Joey, because I'm going to be calling down there to my second home during the Super Bowl, and we're going to have some fun, have some laughs, and a good time. As always, Papa Joe, I look forward to seeing you soon, and I love you all, and I hope you all are being well.
All right, take care, bro. Bye-bye.
Take care. That come from PJ here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We want to thank you for tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. We appreciate you being with us on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage as well, and subscribing, liking, and connecting and bookmarking WakeUpCallDT.com, because that is where every piece of information on Wake Up Call is available in one simple spot that you can go to for free. And of course, Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you can find them by going to any one of these avenues: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. We want to thank all of our incredible partners in the community: Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Great Lakes Honda City, Chick-fil-A Watertown, 317 at Montgomery Restaurant in downtown Syracuse, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, and we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins and Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. The Lemoyne Dolphins are with us every single Wednesday for their Dolphin time at 9 a.m. AD&DT, first and third Wednesday of each month, with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, every second and fourth Wednesday, Dolphin Dive, with the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can get all the content by going to the Lemoyne tab on WakeUpCallDT.com, including our exclusive series on realignment and reclassification, with Lemoyne looking at going Division I. Any information about Lemoyne doing that has come through Wake Up Call and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. Anybody else is just doing that thing that is the highest form of flattery. So, we appreciate you being there. Lemoyne with us all the way through. Dr. Linda Lemira, Bob Beretta, and all of the Lemoyne wonderful Finn family. Go to Lemoyne page on WakeUpCallDT.com, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, proud exclusive multimedia marketing partners with us as well. Bobcat Buzz comes up every single month. Men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball season, inaugural season, with all of the history being made on Wake Up Call as we speak. with Bobcat Buzz, and esports coming up as well. Your Bobcats covered in a way they never have been before, with a spotlight all throughout the year. Go to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcatswoo.com. So, and the woot is not in the .com. I just wanted to do it because I was having fun. Thank you so much for being here in the studios, Cafe Kubal, and all of our Witty Wicks goodness that is all around me at all times. You can see I got to go back to Witty Wicks because my candle is almost out here. My Ottoman Cuse. I got my Mother Fudger candle. I have my Namaste at home. I love all my Witty Wicks candles and everything I get from Witty Wicks. Head out there today. The #1 gift shop voted by you 3 years running in Central New York. And that's where I got this upstate shirt that I rock all in my travels, because I want people to know I am from upstate Central New York. I love my home. I love my people. I love my community. And I support you all in chasing your dreams, doing great things, and paying it forward. Together, we rise. So I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And I'm happy to be able to wear it on my chest thanks to Witty Wicks, 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York, and on wittywicks.com. You can buy these shirts and so much more. I'll talk with you all soon. Thanks to Papa Joe. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll see you, God willing, tonight. We're going to be on site on location Thursday, February 9th, 6 p.m. tonight with the West Genesee hockey team. Cannot wait to see you there. God bless you all. Have yourselves a great day. What did Joe say? Love you too, bro, even though you're going to lose. That's ridiculous. And DT's Super Bowl big game nachos. Greg, you read my mind. I am starving. Let's go. I'm going to be making some of those nachos. Hopefully, got some people coming over to try what I consider to be the best nachos you're going to find in Central and Upstate New York this weekend. God bless you all. No stress. Do your best. And I'll talk with you soon.